The UN Security Council is set to hold another emergency meeting as calls for a ceasefire between Israel and Palestinians grow. Israel has carried out more airstrikes on Gaza. Defense forces say they've destroyed more Hamas tunnels. At the same time, Palestinian rockets have been fired into Israel, with warning sirens heard in cities in the south of the country. For the first time since the newest wave of violence began, no casualties have been reported in Gaza. More than 200 people have been killed since tensions escalated 8 days ago. The majority of victims are Palestinians. In Israel, 10 people have died. US President Joe Biden is pressing for a ceasefire. He's spoken with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. In the past 24 hours, the US blocked the UN Security Council for the third time from adopting a statement calling for an end to the violence. And for more on this, Simon Marks joins us from Washington, D.C. with the latest. Simon, President Biden is under increasing pressure to act. What are his options?
Yeah, he is under increasing pressure, particularly from left-wing Democrats on Capitol Hill, Steve, who are accusing the president of essentially enabling Israel's military crackdown, and they say allowing Israel to engage in what Senator Bernie Sanders has described as unconscionable human rights violations. Yesterday, the president spoke to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu for the second time in 3 days, and in a very carefully worded statement, the White House said the president expressed his support for a ceasefire and discussed U.S. engagement with Egypt and other partners towards that end. But expressing support for a ceasefire is not, suggest the president's critics, the same as expressly demanding one. And at no point has the White House called on the two sides to lay down their weapons and engage in a cessation of hostilities. The United States insists that there is a false equivalence being drawn between Hamas rocket attacks in their thousands on Israel and Israel's right to self-defense. That is incurring the anger, particularly of left-wing Democrats and human rights groups here in the United States. But unless President Biden changes his tone and actively and overtly calls for a ceasefire, that criticism only seems set to continue.
And what can we expect from the UN Security Council meeting later?
Well, I suspect more of the same. This will be a fourth attempt by the UN Security Council to agree a statement. 14 of the 15 members have, on the last 3 occasions, wanted to release a statement that criticizes both Hamas and the Israeli government, and the United States has blocked it. And that is because of America's insistence that there's a false equivalence being drawn by the other 14 members of the Security Council. It is sparking a standoff with China at UN headquarters. The Chinese ambassador to the United Nations criticizing the United States for blocking the release of this statement. And it's put the new US ambassador to the United Nations, Linda Thomas-Greenfield, in a very complicated position as she makes what is her sort of debut appearance on a big, controversial international issue at the world body. So all sorts of battle lines there drawn. Again, no indication that the Biden administration is going to change its stance today.
Many thanks. Simon Marks speaking to us from Washington, D.C.